Okay, so now it is April 19th of 2023, going into the 6th year since Shemai's disconnection from an embalming machine. Okay? I'm just saying. Anyway, Amari's just mad. I think his leg braces are irritating him. So in the meantime, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do the 4th batch of the cheesy cheddar Alfredo sauce, based on the 3 that I've already done. And from that point forward, that's the way I'm going to do it in the future, more than likely, unless of course I settle to use a pressure canner for 10 minutes, which I'm going to do the water bath method. I like that one better, okay? Only this time I'm not going to be shaking my jars. No. But in the meantime, I just wanted to show you. You see? These are tomato plants that are ripening on the vine in War Room 1. Andre, he's pollinating more regularly and leaving tomato plants, little tomatoes all over. There was a bigger one over there, and I just found another one. So as I'm coming across them, I'm just throwing them in the bag. Okay? And we're going to freeze them. Okay? I mean, for now. And whether I use them in cooking, or whether I accumulate more and more and more and decide to can them because they're vine ripened, I'll do that. But for now, they're just going in the freezer as they're coming off the vine. When he does this, which is very seldom, it's like taking nails on a chalkboard. Oh, you don't even know. It frazzles my nerves. Everything else that I go through, I mean, obviously you got to have that heart of steel, and right? But this, when he does that, oh man, you don't even know. Okay, so hold on a minute. Okay, so needless to say, I don't feel that great because, yeah, you know, I'm going to be going down memory lane here. And it's going to be, again, a very emotional time for me as I pick through these papers, even though I can't see them very well. And I give myself 1 to 2 weeks to gather up what this woman wants in terms of medical files that I have on hand. Right? And I am going to photocopy them myself because I'm feeling a little insecure at this point, right? And I don't want my papers getting mixed up and I get mad at anybody because of whatever or whatever or whatever. So I am going to make it convenient and just give this lawyer a copy basically of what I have to start. And then from there, she'll determine whether it's feasible to move forward and pursue the matter. Okay. So that's good. But I wasn't prepared for it. Remember, I was going to do this in 1 year from now. Right? That's what I was thinking. But I'm in the middle of all this, and I got it, you know, and I have to still work in the yard, people. Right? So I got to do that on the weekend or the first part of next week. And I get tired, and I got to do laundry, and there's only so much I can do in a day because, you know, I'm exhausted, right? And then, you know, I have to work 10 times harder when I'm looking at paperwork because I can't see it very well. But anyway, we'll just take it one day at a time for now. I'm not as mad as I was at my son, nor at his girlfriend, right? I spoke to her today. You know, told her I understand how she feels in terms of moving into a household with all this emotional baggage, right, that lingers, right, and that it's not fair to her, right, you know. I'm a very reasonable person, okay. So anyway, we shook hands, right. I asked for a hug. She gave me a hug. Oh, that's good, because I'm on the verge of tears, people. Like, I don't think my kids fully realize where we're at with, I guess you can say, justice for Amari. We're getting real close. The closest we've ever been for any kind of justice in a legal sense. Okay? Because we're dealing with a legitimate lawyer here that's not going to fool around and has teeth. This woman has teeth. Right? So, you know, you wouldn't want to piss her off, I don't think, right? So, anyway, I don't think, you know, Tisha's just, she said to me, I'm just happy that you're not going off and, you know, doing a ramble all by yourself, Mom, like you've been doing all these years. But they're still on the fence with, well, they'll believe it when they see it. Right? So, I don't want to harp on it. I know what I need to do. I ain't going to get it done in, you know, a few days. It's going to take more than a few days, right? Because this has been an ongoing affair for 6 years or more. 6 years with Shmei, 6 years with Amari. You know, when you've got paperwork in the house, it just doesn't stay stationary in one spot. Things get moved around because this is a small house. It's not fair that I've had all this paperwork in my house all these years based on the negligence of corrupt government. Okay? But it is what it is. No regrets, right? And so in the meantime, I am going to work on today what needs to be finished. And then tomorrow, Andre's back on track with his tutoring, right? So that's when I'll take some time and I'll start clearing off my sewing table, right? Because and I will make room to start having a place for these binders so that I can prepare to get them photocopied however which way I do it. And I only need a few things to start, right? And once we go, well, that's it. We're on that path. Okay, so what's going to happen here? Let's just stay focused. Let's keep this a short little video. Let me stay focused. I still have to do the ham and the ham hocks, which I'll do on the weekend, because that's a 75-minute pressure canner. Because it's, you know, right? Meat and whatnot. And I've got a big bag of, I think it's 33 pounds, of wild rice coming in. Because I said I'd do that, and I got my 10% off, so it just made sense to be done with it, because that's a rice that can last for years and years and years in long-term food storage, and it's high in nutrients, blah, 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 and calories, very high in calories, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to incorporate it into that daily menu, right, or weekly menu, or that staple in the house, okay, for the calories and the nutrients. I still have the kummet wheat to do. I already spoke to the honey dude yesterday. Told him that, you know, I'm getting close to doing what I'm doing in here, but I'm just not ready yet to pour the honey. So the honey can be on hold for a little while yet. And the peaches I don't need to do right away. We know I'm not doing any more pasta sauce anytime soon. So I'm just going to focus on this today, which won't take very long to do. Rest, get into paperwork and getting a spot for the paperwork tomorrow, right? I have to work in the yard at some point in the next 10 days, right? I'm going to just not get emotional because, you know, I want to cry. So when you buy new jars, these are new, first thing you want to do is wash everything. Okay? Now, if these jars had been previously used with whatever I was canning in, with meat, jam, doesn't matter, apple butter, beans, whatever. You wash your jars, but technically you should boil them in water for at least 10-15 minutes to sterilize them, just in case you have little bits of food particles on the jar on the inside from your previous canning session. Okay? And then after you boil them, they're pretty much sterile. They're pretty much sterile, right? And you can use them straight out of the canner. Put them on the counter, fill them up with whatever you're doing. Or if you want a hot jar that's dry, you can put them in the oven after the fact. Now, these ones have never been used. Okay? So, in this situation, I'm just going to wash them. And then I'm going to just put them in the oven. After the fact, turn on the oven at least 200. Some people do it at 250. And you give them at least 20 minutes, and then they're basically sterile. Okay? And they can sit like that at either 200 or 250 all day long, all night, till you're ready to use them. I'm just letting you know this, okay? So because these have not been used, that's what I'm going to do. Wash them, put them in the oven, turn on the oven, and then get into the prep with shredding the cheese and getting everything measured out and getting my pots ready, and then we're going to boom, bam, bing, do the video in between, right? And this is just a recap. I feel confident about what I'm doing because as long as there's no air in the jar after it's sealed, right, you're not going to get the mold that will spoil the food unless, of course, the seal breaks and air gets in. Doesn't matter about botulism because botulism is always a factor. It doesn't matter if you pressure can something for 7 hours in a pressure canner. You can still have the potential to have botulism spores start to multiply. Okay? So, and milk products in general have, I don't know, the pH, I'm not quite sure, but it's okay. So anyway, I'm feeling good about what I'm doing. So I will be back. Okay, so we're working fast here, okay? Because really it's not that hard to do. So I'm going to show you what I've got here. And basically everything's fresh. Mine is, these are in Auntie Shimei's fridge. Like I said, you buy, you put, and it lasts a long time, right? Okay, so we've got one old, just whatever, right? I thought this was medium, but it says mild, so that's fine. And I'm probably just going to use, oh, I don't know, maybe about 2/3 of it, right? Okay, and all of this, because we know that we don't get that much out of it, right? We've got a half a pound of unsalted butter. We've got 2 fresh cream cheeses. I didn't realize I had 2 downstairs, but I did. But that's okay, that's for another day. We've got those 2 Parmesan cheese that my son bought, so I'm going to use both of them. We've got some fresh sour cream that was just bought, right? Tisha went yesterday for me. And we've got some fresh cream that was just bought, 2 of them. Okay, this just bought yesterday, right? And we've got this, I don't know, Cremo, half and half. So, okay, so due April 14th, so that's just a few days old. I haven't opened it yet, and the reason I'm doing that because when I made that stuff, right? When I made that last batch, okay? Now, mind you, you're going to be putting it in a pot and you're going to be warming it up and it's going to melt, right? But when it's in a jar like this, it's quite thick. But it's good. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. And then we've also got the leftover ground mustard, which is probably pushing two teaspoons of, I don't know, mustard there. We're going to use some salt. And we're going to probably this time, because I'm adding in a little extra cheese and whatever, I'm going to probably use 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Okay? Because it's fine. It's good. And in terms of this, you can see how thick it is. Okay? But once you put it in a pot and you warm it up, it's gonna smoothen up. But it's so good, like you don't even know, right? And it does. It tastes like cheese. Mm-hmm. So, but by shaking it, you get all that crap on the top. And I don't like that, right? So this time we're not shaking. And whether it separates in a jar after it solidifies and everything, well, again, when you open your jar, even if it solidifies, I mean, like separates, okay, and you don't worry about it. You can always mix it in after the fact of emptying your jar into a pot, right? Versus shaking it and having this gooey stuff accumulate at the top of the lid. Especially if you're going to put it in long-term food storage because of that oxidization over a period of time. I just think it would be better to have a more of a clean upper lid than all this up on top, because we've seen what happened, right, with my last videos regarding this subject, okay? So, all in all, though, it's pretty good. And I pointed this out before, where you get little air pockets in there because of the different types of cheeses when they're starting to... Andre, turn that down. Can you just turn that down a little bit? When they're solidifying. So if you see something like that, don't get concerned. Don't get worried, okay? And sometimes it can be a little gritty. I have come across very few little bits of grit, quote unquote. And I think if people come into that on a bigger, on a larger scale within a batch, honestly, I would contribute it to the butter. Yeah. They either use salted butter or the butter was compromised with something. And another thing I might like to mention here is not all butter is made equally, right? It's good. Not all butter is made equally. And women have done this, right? And for whatever reason, the butter separated where the oils were on the bottom and everything. That's why they want to shake, right? But so far, I haven't really noticed any separation with the way I've been measuring out things here. And if that's the case, like, we'll know for sure. Because I'm not going to shake, not even for a second, the next batch. And it's all going to be done in the water bath so that it's not being pushed up out of the, lid, right? Up, out, so much as if it was in a pressure canner. Because as soon as you put it in a pressure canner, you're going to get that, right? And you're going to get on top a little bit of something and get on your jars. I find that just the water bath at 40 minutes is pretty good, right? Or whatever I did. What did I do? What was it last one? I think I did 40 minutes, right? I wouldn't go any more than a pint-sized jar, and you can do a half pint if you're just dealing with 2 people or yourself and you want this just for your own pantry. But let's just say you do this and you end up getting a layer of the butter that separates, right? And you can clearly see. You know, maybe the manufacturer of the butter, they did something in terms of it's not all what it's all cracked up to be when it's quote unquote butter. Maybe there is an additive in there that they're not maybe listing. I'm just saying on their label, or maybe it has something to do with the processing development. Because when I like I can butter 2 times, and I use different brands, and I found the brand from Save On Foods I like better in terms of canning the butter with the end result versus getting the butter from a different store. So different stores sell different butters that are processed differently, which will produce different results. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. But you're supposed to use unsalted, because if you use salted, it tends to get gritty and maybe becomes too salted. Either or, I'm just using regular old Himalayan salt, which if you bite into, you know, whatever I just was, right, and you get a little crunch, it could be just a grain of salt that maybe didn't dissolve properly. I'm just saying. Oh yes, and then we've got some sour cream here. So I'll be back. Hold on. Okay, so you know, I'm going to try and get the calorie count on this after the fact. In just general terms, right? Why not, eh? Because I would think that this is very high in calories, which is, you know, considering the times we're going into, is a good thing, okay? You know? And I wouldn't be too worried about having precision when it comes to the exact amount of ingredients outside of just, you know, general measurements, right? So in other words, I'm using 2 of these, which might be, I don't know, my eyes are bad today, people, a little more than 800 grams, 8 grams, 8 grams, I don't know. My eyes are fried. I was up very late last night. Whatever, you just do until you can't do no more. Right? I think shredding is the hardest part of everything. Other than that, it's not so bad. Right. So you put your butter in the pot, your sour cream, and when you're ready, you put your cream in there, right? Bring it to a boil it for a little bit, right? Cream can handle it. And then I'll open this up, I'll smell it, I'll taste it. And then I'll throw probably some of that in there a little bit, right? I don't know, a cup or 2 maybe, just to use it up. I never use it. I will after I open it. I was gonna do 1 cream and 1 of those, but you know, I don't know. I'm sure it will be fine after the fact, right?
When it comes to the autopsy of the 3 girls, the lacerations on the face can easily be equated to
listening to Truth for Reality,
or maybe rocks that are at the bottom of the surface. The case of
He told me he was going to do a documentary on Chimay and just the situation in general. I don't know. He wanted me to do a video talking about Chimay and I just couldn't do it. But I did a video for online, right? But it's okay.
It's unbelievable. But what's even more unbelievable,
we'll figure it out sooner or later.
This case was brought to me by my subscribers. This is a case that truly should have been in the media eye. And
this is a different kind of Parmesan cheese.
I haven't heard this
It's not like the other ones. The other ones I bought were more, they were imported from Italy or someplace. They
have nothing, and they know nothing.
I don't want to say maybe more pure, but this is definitely something different.
Actually took place in what happened to those girls. It doesn't matter.
It's coming out more in clumps.
You were the last one to see
it's not shredding up as nice.
So whatever is in the back of your mind, or whatever you're holding from police.
So if you come across that, just break up those smaller pieces, right?
In the beginning of this story, I mentioned the 5 words: when, what,
but
why, where.
Because the more you get it melted right through with everything,
a couple of those questions
and keep it like that,
but it won't be hard to get to the truth.
The easier it will be to process.
I'm not going to blame the authorities.
Oh.
In all honesty, the person who is responsible for more information.
I just want to sleep right now. You don't even know.
The authorities can do no more.
Rest and sleep. Forget my problems.
And if this guy is the last person to actually talk to those girls and see those girls alive, and he's not cooperating, they basically have zero evidence to go off of.
Completely different than the last cheese. Yeah, this is Western Family again.
And no news has come out, so I'm guessing
so it's local.
DNA couldn't be recovered,
it's not imported.
Or whoever it belongs
more than likely.
isn't in their database.
But it will do, because we're just making a cheesy sauce anyway. And then one day, in the future,
no small detail in a case like this is irrelevant.
In about 6, 7, 8 months from now, after I use a few of these jars, I'll do it again. Only then, next time, I'll use the more specialty cheeses.
And that's a fate that they don't deserve.
Right.
They truly deserve justice.
But that's not for a long time. I got 4 cases at 6 jars per case. Well, not 4 cases, but 6, 7. So that's what, 13. And I'm trying for another 7 or 8 today, fully canned. Right, that's why I'm adding the extra cheese to top off that jar so it can actually go in the pot. Only that pot only holds, I think, 8 jars or something. Really, I should be, I don't know. I'll just deal with it, people. Right, that it would be better if I used my pressure canner, but I like this pot. This is perfect. If it was just a little wider, oh man, I'd be in my glory. Yeah, because then you'd get that extra jar or 2 in there. But that's okay. Get in there what I can. And if I have to, I can always get a different pot and do it on a different burner. The last 1 or 2, 3 jars, assuming that I get that many. Because I don't know. This time I'm adding extra ingredients just to be done with it. Right. I'm so tired, but I'm going to get this done. Hold on. Okay, so when you're doing this, right, shred your Parmesan, do your cheese, and then start flipping things around. Right? And use your hands to blend in that Parmesan cheese in between your shredded cheese. Okay? Otherwise, what's happening here is your cheddar cheese is clumping up. And you don't want that too much because it won't melt as fast, right? And you don't want clumps of cheese. You want it to pretty much melt as fast as it can, pretty much at the same time, right? Okay, so I'm finding that the Parmesan cheese is acting as a, I don't know, as a buffering agent to break up the cheddar cheese so it doesn't clump together so much, right? Because as you're, shredding, it starts to clump, right? So this is helping. As I'm doing this, of course, I'm thinking as usual, right? Assuming that everything goes fine, and we actually get to court with this, I am going to ask this lawyer if she can make it where the proceedings are on the internet, public. Yep, it needs to be a public affair. Not this MS team, put on headphones and let us brainwash you. I think the lawyers, based on what happened when we were dealing with, Sonia too, with the Attorney General and Judge Ross and just even everybody else, right, in terms of the MS team and whatnot, I think, and then we were hearing other lawyers talking before our case came up on the phone, right? I think it does an injustice to the lawyers. Yeah, I think it really disenfranchised not only the clients, but the lawyers. Oh yeah. Maybe not the crown prosecutor or the opposition, but for the defendants, oh, they're definitely getting the short end of the stick. At least in a courthouse, it's open to the public. You can walk in and sit and listen or whatever. But I think British Columbia, Canada should have an open, on the internet proceedings like they do in the States. Yeah, because there's too much shenanigans going on out here. Now, whether this lawyer can get that, I don't know. But, you see, this is what you want to look for. Okay? You don't want that. It's a big clump that didn't get grinded up. So after you shred your cheese, your cheddar cheese, mix it in with your shredded Parmesan cheese. And shred the Parmesan cheese very fine. The cheddar cheese, you don't have to do so fine. You can do that size. It goes fine. It melts really fast. But definitely go through and spread things around and, get it ready. But yeah, I'm going to see once it's all said and done, and if this lawyer says, yeah, okay, we're going forward with this, I'm going to ask her to put whatever request, however she wants to make it public. Because they'll probably do it through MS Team. Yeah, which is crooked. Yeah. So we'll see. That would be nice if we got something new going on in British Columbia, Canada. Right? Because as far as I'm concerned, when they do these MS Teams, it's like discrimination. It's too easy for them to hide behind a computer screen. You don't even know if you're really dealing with real people, for all we know. They could be avatars, or whatever those GIs or IGs or whatever they're called, AIs. I don't know. But, it's like, it's really shady. Really shady. It's shady enough when you go into a courthouse and you have to stand around with a whole bunch of people, with a bunch of lawyers running around. If those judges want to be shady, right? But it's even shadier when you're isolated to MS Team or a cell phone, and all you can do is hear. You don't get to see anything, right? Because they start off with just talking on a cell phone. That's how they run their courts out here in British Columbia, Canada, on a fucking cell phone. Like, who does that? Obviously the Canadian government in British Columbia, Canada, right? Okay, so before I start this process here, I've got everything ready. So what takes the time is the shredding and just getting everything ready, right? For the most part. Now, I got a little backup pot here, okay? It doesn't have a built-in bottom, so it's okay. Because I don't know, I got 12 jars in the oven. I don't know how many jars I'm gonna get here. I just know that I want my full capacity. Because this is the last batch that I'm gonna be making for a long time, right? Unless, of course, I want to go out of my way and do like a little specialty one, but that's not anytime soon. So when you're doing stuff like this, right, just make sure you got some sort of something on the bottom, right? This fits perfect for me, and if you don't have that, you can use a cloth, okay? A clean cloth, just so you know. And of course, go with your glass lid, because then you can see, right? Because then you can see, right? That's what you want, right? Okay, this one's already warming up. You know, I don't remember. I'm going to have to go check my video. Because of this brain fog with my eyes and the ringing in the ear and the pressure. And, you know, I want to cry and just, ugh. So, what was it? 40 minutes? Did I do it for 40 minutes or did I do it for an hour? I know the first batch was 40 minutes in the water bath. Right? But by the time I was done getting it adjusted and everything, it was pushing into 50 minutes, right? But it wasn't under the water because that's what somebody else said. I prefer it over the water. Like, I prefer it under the water. Okay? With that low boil, right? With the lid on. And don't break that seal, right? So, lids with no holes, okay? And I will, have that as backup because I don't know how many jars I'm going to get here and if they'll all fit in that one. But if I got one or two scragglers, then for sure I'm putting it in this. Okay, so we got that covered. Oh boy. And I would also recommend getting a more quality, get what you can, right? But if you can spend the extra money and if you can find it, I would recommend going with the more better Parmesan cheese versus, I don't want to say generic, but you know, company brand, right? Don't go for the like the great value Walmart Parmesan cheese when you can get a really good imported cheese from Italy. Just saying. I know you're spending a bit more money, but what I'm noticing here is the one from Walmart. Well, no, this was not from Walmart. It's Western Family. It came from Save On Foods. I don't know. It's too pungent for what it's worth. Because I already worked with the quality ones, right? And I think I prefer them better. But at the end of the day, that's not what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to make a cheesy cheese sauce. Like when I did that video, what was it? 2 videos ago with the, we finally got some good news. And Andre came in with that big plate full of, whatever those things were, nachos or whatever. That would have been perfect to heat up. Pour right over. Good. So now, we're pretty much ready to go. I'm still debating on this. I'm still debating on it. I'm not sure yet. Right. So, what we got? 16 ounces of cream cheese. Right. A whole bunch of Parmesan cheese. What was it? 750 or 700 grams. 1 block of cheese, and then another half of the same amount of mild. The other one was old. So it's coming in at 700, so 350, 700. What is that? That's 1,050 grams. Yeah. of just cheddar cheese, mostly old, the other half mild, you can see. And then we've got the 1 cup of sour cream in here, a half a pound of butter, and I will attempt to, and then we've got the 2 whipping cream. I will attempt, after the fact, after the jars are done and counted, I will look for my calculator and I'll see if I can calculate the calories with everything included and then divide it by the number of jars, right? And then we'll just see approximately, I don't know, a 1/4 cup is in terms of calories, or a 1/2 cup, or whatever, right? Just for general information. Because this is just a food supplement to other foods. And I am going to use a bit of vinegar. This time I'm going to use 2 tablespoons because I'm adding in a little extra cheese. I kind of wanted a little more mustard than what I got there, because I just do, but Amari's little blender thing is in the fridge with something else, so I'm just going to use what's already there as is, right? And salt, and that's just what it's going to be. So I'm just going to rest for a few minutes, because, you know, when you're going blind and things get difficult to do, and you have all these obligations and responsibilities and those kind of things, it's easy to mentally shut down. You know, lay down and close your eyes, especially if your eyes are really tired and you just want to rest them. And then I can go into sleep, right? Sleep, sleep, sleep. But you don't want to sleep your life away. So I'm making myself do this. And then tomorrow, I don't need to make myself get into paperwork. But I am going to make myself clear off my sewing table, so I have a little room to work with as I start pulling out shit and get it ready to figure out how I'm going to get it to, oh, that cream cheese is so good, how I'm going to get it to the lawyer, right? Because I want to photocopy it. So, as much as I appreciate her offering to do it for me, it's just something I want to do right now. At least for what's in the house. Yeah. Right. It's so good. So I'm going to take a break for a second and then come back and start cooking and get it in the counter. I'm going to actually go check my video. I can't remember if I did it for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, or 60 minutes. Well, it was that eyesight brain fog shit. So hold on. Good, good, good. Okay, so I'm about ready here, just about. So I'm going to start warming this up. Now I opened this cream half and half. It's very runny. Well, I guess it would be, right? It tastes fine. So I'm going to use, probably about half of it, because I don't want it to go to waste, right? Because I'll use the rest for coffee or whatever, right? It's okay. It's not going to make much of a difference, right? Once your jar is sealed, it will be fine. So you start heating it up, bring it to that boil, melt the butter, right? And once I need a whisk. Once the butter is melted, then you can start throwing in everything else. Right? Don't forget this kind of thing. And, yeah. Get my salt. So yeah, it's 40 minutes. I did it 40 minutes. 40 minutes is reasonable. That's a good amount of time. Right? 30 minutes for a half a pint. Right? That would be reasonable as well. Alrighty, we'll be back. So yeah, I know if you watch other videos that when people, oh my God, I hate that when I do that. That's what happens when you don't pay attention. When you watch other videos, you know, they tell you to warm it up real slow. Like it's dainty or something. Not with cream. And that half and half with a little bit of milk. Even if it was to caramelize a bit in terms of, you know, becoming evaporated milk for what it's worth in there, I don't think it's going to change the flavor too much. No. No. I think bringing it to a boil actually is a good idea. And it definitely helps to melt the cheese. Right? It's almost at that boiling point. Not quite, but when you're at this stage, you have to use one of these flat edge spoons and just keep going along the bottom of the pan so it doesn't stick. Because then this way, it really doesn't begin to caramelize, right? Or scorch, or whatever you want to call it, right? Because you keep moving it, and it won't. This is almost ready to start boiling. It's just here you have to pay attention because you know, it's cream. Depending on the cream, it will start to rise, right? Right. So we'll see. It's not quite boiling yet. It's getting there, but not quite. So I don't know. Just trying to stay positive here, people. Right? Not get all stressed out. You know, I don't want to crash. Alright? I don't want to get all panicky. I'm panicky enough as it is. I'm always having panic attacks. Alright? So, what's going on here? Looks like it's starting to boil now. A bit. I don't know. I need a new stove. My burners are not as good as they should be. No, I don't think so. I'm just smelling it. Okay. So, sure, splash hot cream into your face. So now when you're doing that, it's starting to go, so just be careful. Don't burn yourself. Just kind of work fast. Right? I turned it down a bit, but it's nice and hot. Alright, now we're gonna get this cheese in there. And because I kind of mixed it up already, it should be fine. As long as you're stirring, right? As long as you're stirring, should be fine. He's just playing.
I know.
He's actually enjoying himself very much.
I'm trying to say don't grab the blanket.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he's been doing that, covering up his face lately. You just have to pay attention. It doesn't matter if he's on the floor or if he's on the couch. If he thinks he can pull a blanket on himself or a pillow, he's been doing that lately. So just go with the flow. That's all you can do. All right. I'm putting in 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay. Now this feels a little thicker for me. I don't know if it's my imagination or what, but in terms of a cream sauce, oh geez. I think it's good, right? You don't want it runny too much. And then we want the rest of that mustard. So we'll just throw that all in there and be done with it. I don't think I'm missing anything here. I'm pretty sure that's mustard. Yeah. Oh yes, and then I was going to do the vinegar, right? And some vinegar. Turn this back up just a bit. Just keep stirring that bottom. Okay? If you scrape it off, it doesn't burn. Okay? I hope you can hear me. Yeah, because I'm like right over the stove here, talking into a pot. Alright. And then vinegar. I see the vinegar there. It's not going to hurt it. You're just blending it in. It just helps, they say, with that to preserve it. And of course I didn't have a spoon ready for this. So as if I can see anything, because I can't. But here's this. This will do, I guess. Right. No, nothing to worry about here. And I'll just pour it over this from what I can see. Oh my Lord. So 1, 2. Good enough. Yeah. And then just get back to stirring it. It doesn't take long before it starts sticking to the bottom. Okay? So just, give everything a good stir. Give it a chance to all blend in. Now you can turn it down a bit, because it pretty much looks like everything's melted, and that's what you want. You just want to get it melted. Alright. And you don't want it scorching. You can hear it scraping on the bottom. If you want, you can just maybe move it off the burner if you feel like it's just getting too hot, right? Like if I had that cleared off, I could have a cutting board there and put it there and get my jars ready, because I still have to get my jars, right? Or I can just kind of move it, turn off the heat, right? And then just move it a little bit off this burner and put the lid on it, and it will stay hot. I think we did this last time until I get the jars out, because I only have so much counter space here, right? But I'm going to taste it first. I'm curious to see what it tastes like. It's a little runny, but we know it will thicken up later. I'm looking for a spoon. I don't see a spoon. Go figure. Well, that's a big spoon. This is the last time I'm going to be doing this for a while. Oh, it's good. It's so good. Perfect. It's like a white cheese sauce. Like really good. Definitely happy with it. Really happy with it. Yeah. Like really good. And then after the fact, I'm just saying, oh boy, I'm just saying, let's just say you open up a jar, right? And I just love my kitchen, man. Fuck. It's because I don't have a stupid porch and shit piles up. But whatever. I'm not complaining. Let's just say you got a big thing of nachos, okay? And you open this up, you heat it up, you let it cool down a bit after the fact, then you drizzle it over your nachos. All you have to do is just come with some extra cheese and just shred it and just sprinkle it on top. And you can use any kind of cheese that you want to offset what you've got here. Now, the only thing I'd be concerned about after you do this is just make sure as you're getting your jars to keep stirring it a little bit just so that it doesn't bind to the bottom of the pan. Okay? Right? Because as it is, it tastes delicious. Like really good. So much so, oh look at that. So much so, I did it 4 times. And I almost feel like I perfected it now. Like I'm really satisfied with what I've done. Well, really satisfied. Now, I'm gonna bring out my jars. So tired. I'm emotionally tired. That's what it is. Yeah. I should have put that on there. Oh my, this pot's in the way. Andre. Nana lost her stuff. There's that. Where is my... There we go. Gotta work fast, okay? Now, when you do this, I mentioned last time, okay? Make sure you stir it. Make sure you stir it in between filling up your jars, because butter tends to separate when it's hot, right? So if you stir it and blend it in, you'll get a more even distributing it, right, between the jars. Oh man, see, this is where I can't really see. So we just do the best we can. And this time we're not shaking our jars. Oh boy. And I'm only doing 5 jars or so at a time, so the jars stay hot in the oven in between filling them. Okay, oops, that one's too low. Oh boy. Now it was too low and now it's too high. Go figure, right? Oh boy. I'm allergic to food. That's what it is. I'm putting stuff in food, making you allergic to it. I gotta get a different... I'll be so glad when this is all over with. You don't know. Soon. Oh boy. So if you go a little high, take it out and put it somewhere else. No. Oh boy. I'm in rough shape. And I haven't even started working outside yet. Nope. Well, this year though, I'm just building as much as I can build under the circumstances. So we're probably at about 3/4 of an inch, I would say. Let me just get a paper towel. Just crashing around in here. Oh, jeez. See, certain things, I ate that cream cheese. That's what happened. It started tickling my throat. I'm getting hot. Yeah. My nose is running. Go figure. So what? Am I allergic to cheese? Maybe. Or was it because I opened the oven door? Who knows? Could be anything. I'm not using vinegar. I'm just using clean paper towel that's wet. That's good enough. It will be fine. Just go around a couple times. You already got your vinegar in there. I see some of these women that dip their rag into the vinegar and they don't even squeeze it. Oh. If I use vinegar on a rag, I squeeze it, right? Right? Oh my Lord. These days are going to be done soon, pretty soon, I tell you. Can't cope with it. Hold on. Okay, so if you do it this way, you can get a little bit of a higher headspace, okay? Because you're not going to be, unless of course you get that vortex going, right before you, like, you know, take off your lid and take out your jars, and right, that's where you kind of go slow, right? Don't worry about it having a little bit of water on it. That's okay, because it's going to be in the canner there for what is that called? At least 40 minutes, right? Plus whatever it takes to adjust everything. And what's important is that these are clean, because there's already water in the milk, right? And the cream and everything, okay? So, and of course, because of the amount of time, it all gets sterilized. See, I would say, if I was to say, now I would add, I could add another tablespoon in there. That one there, it seems to me, from what I can see, is the more ideal headspace, which is pushing on about 3/4 of an inch, I would say. Okay, and the chances of it overflowing, as long as you are doing the half, we'll call it half pasteurizing method, it's not going to overflow. This one here, you're getting into about an inch. Technically, it probably should be a little higher than that. I would feel more comfortable if it was. So we're just going to add a bit more, and I may have to do the ring again. Right, the rim, right? Okay. Oh yes, I forgot to mention this stuff does settle. So you have to actually give it time to settle before you put your lids on. I forgot about that. Hold on a minute. Okay, so basically I got 9 jars. This can hold 8 jars, which the canner can hold 9. My canner can hold 9. So anyway, what I've done is I took 1 extra jar out of there. You can see I spread it out so the heat can travel through easier, right? And then I put this here because I already have in the fridge, right? I want it canned. That's the whole point. So now you put your lids on, right? Okay, get that to that where it's starting to get to that low boil. I just took hot water from the tap, and we're just going to bring it up, and when it's starting to get to that little bit of a boil, adjust your heat. Once you're satisfied with whatever you think you got going there, you can start your 40 minutes, right? And don't lift up the lid, right? And then after the fact, turn off the heat, and then let it sit 15 minutes. Don't open the lid. And then after that, just crack it a bit. Don't take it off completely. Let it sit for another 5 or 10 minutes. Take off your lid. I would give it another few more minutes, 5 to whatever, right, and then pull it out, and don't shake it. No, don't shake it. And I think it will be fine. As long as it's hot, going into the jar and everything, and it's liquidy, you don't have to debubble. But the longer you leave it, it starts to thicken up, okay? Because there's a lot of cheese in there. But that's what we wanted, right? So no regrets. All right, so 9 jars, nothing left. Spot on, right? I'm happy. Now that, for everything that I've been doing 4 times in a row regarding this particular subject, I think today was the best out of all of them, right? So now I am going to just clean up a little bit and wash the pots, whatever, and I'm gonna pay attention to this, and then when I'm done I'll bring out the jars, and that will be it for this video. Hold on. So there we go. We got 2 pots going like this. Now this one obviously started sooner, right? You can hear it bloop 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 bloop. So I already started the time on it. This one hasn't really started yet, so once it starts, then that's when I'll start the time, and I will subtract whatever is left on the stove from 40 minutes, so that when it goes off, I'll add in the extra so-called 10 or 15 minutes to compensate for this one, okay? Because this one's already on the countdown. You can hear it, right? Okay, so we're good. I like this method better. It makes more sense to me, and I think it works good. Okay, so I don't know if you can see what's going. Is that even recording? Who knows? Hold on a minute. I guess. Anyway, you can see, right? So, done. Next day. Nice and cool. Didn't shake them, nothing. So you can almost guarantee that underneath the lid isn't all gooped up. Okay, I'm just saying. And the waters came out pretty much clean. There was a couple of jars when I was filling up was leaking over, so other than that, I don't think we had any siphoning. So this one I'm going to call extra cheesy cheddar Alfredo sauce. And then I might put with milk at the bottom, just so we know, right? because milk is the one that is more apt to spoil out of everything that's in that jar. Either or, even when you open the jar though, you need to use it fairly quick. Right? It's not something that I don't think is going to sit in the fridge for a long period opened. But other than that, and it's more than likely thick as well.